Hey horror fans, welcome back to Room 237, coming at you with another zombie review. And I know I said in my Dawn of the Dead review that I was going to hold off on remakes because I'm going to be doing a big remake marathon. But this is different. This is from 1990, and that is Night of the Living Dead. This is Tom Savini's directorial, or Tom Savini's helmed remake. Now, why is it different? Because I consider remakes prior to 2003's Texas Chainsaw Massacre to be different. That's why I've reviewed The Blob, that's why I've reviewed The Fly, that's why I'll eventually review John Carpenter's The Thing. Because back then it was still filmmakers making movies. It wasn't just, oh, what can we remake now? And, the original Night of the Living Dead is one of my all-time favorite movies. If we're talking undead zombies, it's my favorite zombie movie. I even like it more than Dawn of the Dead. And even though I'm kind of against remakes altogether, if anyone was to remake a George Romero film, especially like Night of the Living Dead, it's Tom Savini. Now, I don't know what else Tom Savini has directed. I'm pretty sure this was his first. Also, yeah, it doesn't have an insert. This is a pretty lame-ass cover. I mean, these all look more like Tim Burton, like animated characters. The original poster was actually pretty cool. You're all heading towards the house. So yeah, Tom Savini. Let's just see what else he's directed. He's 72, holy shit. Filmography as actor. Should have done this before. Makeup effects. Director. Okay, this was his first film, but he had directed 3 episodes of Tales from the Dark Side prior to this, which I think George Romero created. Oh, he's gonna remake Nightmare City. Okay, that's to be determined. But anyway, so this essentially is, well, it is a remake, but, some remakes are very different. Some are completely shot for shot, line for line, frame for frame, everything for everything, like Gus Van Sant's Psycho. This is pretty damn close. This follows almost all the same beats as the original, but Tom Savini did take some liberties to change things up. Now, the cast, I just want to see if it said who did the effects, because I'm almost sure John Russo actually produced this as well, which John Russo co-wrote the original with George Romero. And I mean, even though Tom Savini directed it, every release still says George Romero's Night of the Living Dead. So yeah, this came out in 1990. It stars Patricia Tallman. I know she's in Babylon 5, which I never watched. She plays Barbara. Tony Todd as Ben. And then other horror favorites like Bill Moseley plays Johnny, which I thought that was a perfect match. Tom Towles, who's been in several Rob Zombie films, most notably the Sheriff from House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects. Cameo appearances in like Halloween. But he's also probably best known for playing Otis in Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. It's not a slasher film, but I wish I had done this during my... This is one of my favorite movies also. This is a disturbing film. So yeah, Tom Towles, he plays Harry Cooper. And I mean, I don't even really need to go into plot. I mean, it's essentially the same thing. Barbara and Johnny going to visit a grave. Coming to get you, Barbara. Come across a zombie. She ends up at this farmhouse. Ben then soon comes. And then they find more survivors down in the cellar, or they come up. You have teenage lovers, Tom and Judy, only this is Judy Rose. And the guy that played Tom, he was in a couple other slasher films. He was in Leatherface, Chainsaw 3, he was in Friday the 13th Part 7. The woman that plays Harry's wife, I didn't recognize her. I mean, almost everything is the same. They changed some things, like Ben doesn't board up the windows by himself. You know, Tom helps him. They all come up from the cellar before they start boarding it up. You know, the ending is drastically different, and the biggest difference would be the character of Barbara. Now, in the original, Barbara was a hysterical mess. She was almost catatonic throughout most of the film. In this, she goes from wearing a dress and being scared to a point where she even picks up a gun and she stops taking shit. She puts on pants and boots and she goes fucking Sarah Connor on zombies. She has a big character arc. Tony Todd, I'm not the biggest fan of him like some people are. I mean, I like the first Candyman. Just I think Tony Todd is a little over the top. Like, he tends to whisper a lot. You know, I'm probably going to get a lot of shit for saying maybe he's a little overrated. But I thought he worked as Ben in this. I mean, this was before Candyman. I don't know how big of an actor he was before this. The zombies sort of take a back seat in this. I mean, you don't really get a lot of... You don't get a lot of zombies. It's mostly just like arms coming through the windows. It's really more... I think Tom Savini wanted to put emphasis on how humans can kind of fuck each other more than the actual threat, which was something Romero was always putting across in his films, which at this point Romero's original trilogy was already done. He hadn't made Land yet or any of his other ones. I will say, obviously I love the original way more. I actually like Dwayne Jones as Ben a lot more. You know, it did seem more of a, okay, Cooper is here, everyone else is working with Ben. You know, it was nice to see the group effort boarding up the windows. But in the original film, I just thought Dwayne Jones was just, as Ben, just, he's the guy that gets shit done. He boards up everything by himself. He's no bullshit. You know, I thought he was a much stronger character in the original. Also, some things I don't really want to compare because once I get a lot of other things done, I want to start a show called Then versus Now. Trying not to rip off a nostalgia critic because he does sort of the same thing of originals versus remakes, where I'm going to do that. But just right off the bat, there was just things that worked a lot better in the original. Like, for example, you're really supposed to hate a Mr. Cooper. Like, for example, when the trip to the gas pump doesn't work and Ben's trying to get back inside but the door's locked. In the original, it showed Cooper standing there sort of hesitant, like, should I open it? Or like, fuck him, I should leave him out there. In this, Cooper is fighting with Barbara for the gun. That's why Ben can't get in. That's why no one will let him in. It just sort of took away a lot of the, you know, left versus right over the politics of the house, I felt. The ending, it did do some nods to the original. You know, the the little girl downstairs who didn't really look like a little girl. Instead of killing her mother with the handheld gardening tool, she actually bites her and eats her. But there's a shot of the tool on the wall and the blood spatters on it. So, okay, it's giving a nod. It is paying homage. Barbara is the sole survivor. Spoiler alert. She's able to get help. She's with the whole team of rednecks. But when they get back to the house, Tony Todd is actually a zombie. Him and Cooper get into a gunfight. He dies of his wounds down in the cellar. Which I like the scene where, you know, goes for a cigarette, but it's broken. and just zombies are going around upstairs, and he looks over and there's the right key labeled gas pump, and he just laughs like he just loses it. So he dies of his wounds, comes back as a zombie. But the sort of sucker punch ending is Cooper doesn't die in this, zombie or anything else. He hides up in the attic. He doesn't die from his gunshot wounds. But when Barbara sees that he survived, knowing how much of an asshole he is, she shot him. And then she says to them, there's another one for the fire. So we tweaked the ending a bit. I mean, I've seen some zombie movies out there that are pieces of crap. This isn't a piece of crap. I mean, it's a worthy remake. I have to say it was kind of pointless because it is so close to the original, and the things that they change isn't really for the better. I mean, yeah, you have better acting across the board. You know, I mean, the guy that played Tom in the original, he was kind of a Burt Ward, like holy zombies, Batman. Like, he reminded me of Burt Ward. The guy that, you know, everyone was a bit more believable in this. But the zombies didn't seem like much of a threat. The zombies were very downplayed in this. I mean, Barbara keeps making the point that, she said, look how slow they are. We can walk right past them. We don't even have to run. Then even at the end, when she gets out of the house and she's going to make a run for it, she sort of loses it when she sees that there's a zombie woman carrying a baby doll. And the zombie woman keeps, like, coming for her. She just keeps, like, pushing her away until she finally shoots her. It's, like, they didn't seem that threatening. I mean, yeah, zombies are slow in all of Romero's films. They were slow in the original Night of the Living Dead. But they still felt threatening. When the zombies are eating the charred corpses of Tom and Judy, or Judy Rose, you get hints of that same music from the original, which is one of my favorite scenes. I mean, pretty much, it's all it is. It's almost up there with Gus Van Sant's Psycho. It's a color version of a black and white film. Only it is different enough. There are some changes. Psycho is just a complete carbon copy. And it's a piece of shit. This, I like it. I mean, it's a decent movie. It's more of a character study, like a group of people characters. A character study of a group of people. Because zombies really do take a back seat in this. But when you do get to see them, the effects are alright. You know, and they're not Day of the Dead great. But, you know, I thought for his first actual film, I thought Tom Savini did a good job. If anyone was to redo a Romero film, I mean, he didn't get to do the effects on the original Night of the Living Dead. He was in Vietnam. But, you know, it's alright. It's not a bad movie. I was going to say it's fun, but, you know, I didn't think Tony Todd was as good a Ben as Dwayne Jones, because Dwayne Jones is my favorite character from the original. He's one of my favorite movie protagonists. But I would say Tom Towles did a great job at being a despicable prick. I mean, they did change some things, like they get in a fight over the TV and it gets busted. Because you think he's going to take it down to the cellar and hide it. Tony Todd starts beating him up. He's like, no, I was going to bring it down here for all of us. You can't get reception in a basement, dickhead. He calls him dickhead. But, you know, as remakes go, it's definitely better than most of the actual remakes. Like 2003 to present. That's where even though they're all remakes, I consider 2003 to present to just be the studio onslaught of remakes. Ones prior to that, you know, I consider them to be a different kind of remake. It was someone that still had a vision, someone that still was trying to make something. So, yeah, Tom Savini's Night of the Living Dead, not talked about a lot. You don't hear a lot of people talk about it. It's kind of forgotten. But it's a decent movie. it is, you know, I'd much rather watch the original, but there are some differences that make it a different movie. But yeah, it's not bad. It's just not one of my favorites. Honestly, even though it's so close with minor differences, it's kind of forgettable. Like, I've seen it a few times. But yeah, Night of the Living Dead, not bad. Not a bad remake. If there was ever going to be a Night of the Living Dead remake, I'd rather it just be that, not another one. So for Room 237, that is the remake of Night of the Living Dead. Thank you for watching.